Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. How you doing? Hello. Look who's here on time today. That's right, that's me. Only took what, like a week to figure it out? Good morning, Kat. How are you? We are punching today. Yeah, I couldn't decide, and then I was like, well, let's just keep her going. You're right, I decided to keep it a surprise, didn't I? Yep, this is exactly what we're doing today. We're gonna keep on punching, see how much more we can get done. I hope you're having a fabulous Friday. And people aren't demanding too much of your time like they were the other day. So rude yesterday. Everyone just, wanted a piece of ya. Oh, no way! That's awesome. Is your cousin doing it? Because wasn't it you were going to do it last time, but then she had to isolate? That's exciting. Yeah, today's usually Saturday. Yeah. I guess which is great, which is why they let you out early for good behavior. Your sister. Oh, okay. Yes, your sister. That's awesome. Well, that'll be a fun afternoon. It's like a long time coming. I feel like you've probably just been like itching to do it yourself. And so you finally were able to rearrange to be like, no, if you don't come and do this, then I'm going to. All right. Let's continue stabbing today. Oh, okay, so she's actually gonna style it as opposed, like, do like a pixie cut or something like that as opposed to just like a full shave. Oh, that'll be nice. Have you had that before? Or usually when your hair is short, it is just like straight shaved? We'll get like a cute little pixie cut or something. That'll be nice too, and I think especially going into, I don't know if it is getting there. To be fair, it started getting warmer here, and then now it's not. So I guess it's more humid than anything, but I was gonna say it'll be helpful to have shorter hair for the warmer months, because then you don't get like the back of the neck sweat as much. Oh, you have, yeah. Oh, okay, so you have had the pixie cut before. That'll be nice though. Yeah, probably. It's speculated to get really warm here as well. We actually bought, Liam's going away for the weekend, and we thought we had sleeping bags for some reason. Like, we were convinced that we did, but it seems like maybe we didn't. So he ended up ordering some from Mountain Warehouse because they were having a big sale. And then you needed to spend over a certain amount to get free shipping. And we're like, oh man, like that's going to be so difficult. Like, let's see what's available. And we were looking at the dog stuff, and I said, oh, we were thinking of getting Shadow like a little sort of elevated dog shade zone for the summer, because it's meant to be really hot. And I think like if we're gonna be outside like gardening, or like if we plan to have barbecues and stuff like that, it would be nice to give him that option. So we found like I guess it's almost like a tradition, like not traditional, but it almost is very like wigwam shaped, like I guess what they would call teepees. But I'm pretty sure somebody once told me that what everyone colloquially refers to as a teepee isn't actually what it is. It's a wigwam. But anyway, so we have one that's going to be arriving. So, yeah. We got the dogs a cot. Because we were looking at one of those ones that you can get where it's like that elevated cot that then has the sort of shield over top of it. But I think it's one of those where Shadow will only be able to sit on one of those dog cots if he's like in Shadow donut mode. And he isn't always, and usually when he's laying down on his blanket, he's like long boy mode. And so we're like, well, there's no point in getting that, because 9 times out of 10, he's only in donut mode when he's really cold, and then he's gonna be really warm, so that wouldn't work. So we got him one that is ground level, but hopefully it's wide enough that then if he needed to sort of like stick his feet out, he could have like the majority of his body in there, but still, be able to sort of lay out a bit longer. So hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully that arrives soon because he's meant to be going away this weekend and he needs the sleeping bag for it. But that'll be fun. So hopefully if the weather's not too bad. I don't know how, like, waterproof this thing is. I assume it probably is, like, water resistant to a degree. But I assume we'll probably have to, like, take it up, like, stick it up and take it down in between as opposed to just leaving it up full time because then I think the water will mess it up. But we'll see. I'm really excited about it. And I even said to Liam, I was like, well, if Shadow doesn't use it, I will hang out in the little tent. I'm like, I'll just curl up in the little tent over the summertime. I have no problems with that. That's awesome, though, that they do love it. Yeah, I'm hoping this year Shadow will actually use his paddling pool, and then he will also, like, know to go in these, like, shady spots. Yeah, we used to have one, and then we would, like, camp out in the backyard. I don't think we ever ended up staying there overnight, though. I don't know if we got scared or got too cold or something like that. We always think it would be such a cool idea. And then I don't know if we ever stayed in one overnight, at least in our, like, as a kid. The only thing, too, is also what we would do is we would set up the tent and then we would leave it out, like, all summer. And then I think it would get, like, sun bleached. And then we'd end up, like, burning holes in the, like, sides of the tent because it was out too much. I don't know what that, like, how or why that happens. It must be a thing. But yeah, I just remember sometimes being like, well, we gotta throw the tent out because we literally burnt a hole in it. Lived in condos. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't have, like, the backyard to sort of do that with. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we always got too cold because I don't know if we had, like, the proper sleeping bags because you don't realize when you're, like, when it's summer and it feels really hot out and stuff. Obviously, like, at 2 in the morning when you're sleeping on the ground, essentially, unless you have, like, an elevated area, it gets quite cold. So I don't think we had, like, the proper sleeping bags and, like, did the whole setup. Maybe we did a couple of times, but, you know, then we'd be like, oh no, this is too cold or too uncomfortable or I can't sleep. The novelty's worn off. We'll go inside. Oh yeah, you had coyotes too. Yeah, that would be, I think it would be very interesting to tent in our back, like, in our current yard, because we have a lot of, like, foxes in the area and cats and stuff. It would almost be interesting just to see, like, because obviously Shadow will see them when he's still awake, but if he's in bed sleeping with us, though we wouldn't be able to camp out without him, so it could be that he would be waking us up every, like, 2 seconds to go chase after the cat, or the dog, or the foxes, or the cats. Could you imagine? I could totally see it where he sees something in the shadow and then he starts pawing at the tent and stuff and then the whole tent collapses and it would be a whole thing. I could see that happening. We got totally soaked on our walk this morning. It's clear now, but it was a little bit rainy this morning, but it was like that sort of misty rain where you kind of didn't realize how wet you were getting until you looked at your jacket, and I'm, like, completely drenched. But it wasn't bad. We ended up running into this guy who had this, I don't even know what kind of dog it was. I was meaning to look this up. It was kind of like, it kind of looked like the sort of fluffy Shih Tzu terrier kind of thing, but it was, like, brown and caramel colored. So I don't know if Shih Tzus come in that sort of color scheme. But let me see. Brown fluffy dog. Maybe, like, small breeds. I'm not sure. Small brown dog breeds. Probably not. Dachshund, no. 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 Maybe? Australian Terrier? I don't think so. Oh no, it definitely was a Shih Tzu. He looked just like this. So they must, I don't know, I guess my brain, today I learned that you can have brown Shih Tzus. I don't know why I never thought about that. It's just not something, yeah, so there's this guy walking with his dog, and I got talking to him, and I guess this Shih Tzu's only like 7 months old, but Shadow and I, so they were walking in front of us, and then we were behind, and we were quite far away. It's a turd. Oh no. So we were like, a decent distance apart, and then the little dog saw us, and it just stopped. And the owner was like trying to coax it to keep walking and stuff, and he just sat and was like, I would like to meet, like he wanted Shadow to come and say hello to him. And so the dog just sat there. And then we rocked up, and as we got closer, Shadow started barking at him, like not maliciously, but just being being loud and obnoxious. And I was like, oh, okay, like, you're saying hi, whatever. And as we got closer to the dog, as soon as they were within, like, able to actually say hello to each other, Shadow gets, like, super darty and skittish and, like, jumps off and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And as I told the owner, I'm like, he's clearly all talk. Because he's, like, barking at this little dog. And as soon as we get near him, Shadow's like, oh, no, what is this thing? I don't really know. And the dog's just, like, sitting there. I'm like, oh, hello. How's it going? But the guy was saying that this dog is only 7 months old, and how, yeah, he just, like, when the dog is interested in something, he will just, like, not, like, has no chill. But it was really sweet because he was talking about, he's like, oh, like, I've seen you walking around in the area and all this kind of stuff. Hi, hello. It goes not too bad. How are you? We are currently using sharp objects to stab fluffy things and make it look pretty. And I'm just talking about the brown Shih Tzu that Shadow and I met today on our walk that refused to move forward until Shadow and I got close enough for him to say hello, which I thought was very cute. But yeah, how are you? How are things? Are you working on any cool stuff right now? Do share, do plug. But yeah, and so I was talking to this guy, and I guess he was saying, like, oh, do you take him, like, Shadow to the park and stuff? The guy was like, oh yeah, like, I've seen you around walking your dog, like, it's really nice to finally kind of meet you and stuff. And we were chatting about our dogs, and he said, yeah, I should have taken him to the park, but he gets so muddy, and he's also, like, not listening right now and stuff. And I was saying how we had read up about, like, when we got Shadow, how puppies go almost through this, like, regression stage, almost like with kids and stuff. And so I said, yeah, he was really, really good and, like, was fine off lead. Then he regressed and, like, was being a little shit and took off all the time, and now he's better. So the guy was like, oh, okay, maybe, like, that's the stage he's going through right now. Just with Owl House Show. Oh, it's so good. I've not finished the series, but I've watched the first few seasons. And you're right, it's such an incredible show. I do have to get on that. But now part of me is a bit like, well, if I do, I'm not sure if they're on Disney Plus yet. I would assume they are. But that's the thing, right? Once you watch it, and then it's done, it's over. So. Oh, but that's amazing. So it ended, the ending did it justice. Because I think, there was a lot of contention with, like, Disney canceling the show and then bringing it back, or doing, like, a rushed sort of ending and all this kind of stuff. But it sounds like it was well done, well executed. So we're on Cosplay Taking It Easy. That just sounds like the best of all of the worlds. But yeah, and then we walked for a little bit, and Shadow, again, this little dog stopped and wanted to say hi, but wasn't too excited about it. He was kind of like, not like tail wagging, just kind of like, oh yeah, hello, I am here. And Shadow was the one who was, like, more sort of curious and investigating and stuff. And the little dog was just like, nah, chillin'. I'm like, okay. It was really sweet to talk to somebody, because then he was talking about, which I thought, I don't know, I thought it was a bit bizarre, because he was talking about, obviously, how this little Shih Tzu, is not listening right now. And he said it's really difficult, like, sometimes taking them to the park, and then if you kind of let them off lead because, you know, you want them to learn and get that experience or whatever. But I guess he's at that stage now as well where he's also really curious about stuff and keeps like trying to hump things and stuff like that, I guess. So I was like, oh, that's awkward. But he'll just like follow things that he finds are interesting. So this guy was telling me about how this woman who was like pushing a baby carriage and was on the phone, and this little dog started kind of following them and stuff, and I guess got pretty close. And he said it was so stressful though, because then the woman like freaked out on this dog, and he's like, you know, I don't know, I guess he consoled her or whatever, but he was basically, which is kind of how I felt when Shadow was that age, where like you have to pick your battles, and you're like, do I want to go to a field or a park and potentially get into a confrontation, or can my heart just kind of not handle that right now, and we're just gonna stick to like walks in the area? But I just thought it was very interesting that, like, because obviously I know from my perspective with Shadow, because he's already, you know, once he grew to a certain point, he's like a fast black dog, and even if you love dogs, having a big black dog running towards you at top speed could be a little bit overwhelming. But like this little fluff of a creature, I can't imagine, I guess unless she had like a phobia of dogs, like even the little dogs freaking them out that much and like getting that upset. I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting, and I was kind of like, oh wow, like of all of the dogs to be really like angry about, unless, yeah, but you never know, right? You never know what people's situations are like. It just, you know, feels bad because you're like, I don't mean for my dog to distress you. It was just, you know, this kind of one-off circumstance, and I'm really sorry, you know? But I was like, yeah, I get it. Because there was a whole chunk of time where I wasn't taking Shadow into the forest because I had, like, a couple negative experiences that, like, I really internalized, and it really made me, like, anxious about going there by myself. But thankfully, he's a bit older now, and his recall is better, so it's not bad, so now it's fine. But there definitely was a moment where I was like, I don't think my heart can handle this today. Season 1 and 2 are there, yeah. Season 3 is not yet, but I got it, though. No, I think I pick up what you're throwing down. I'm so sad they canceled it early. Yeah, it felt a bit cramped around this episode. Oh, it only has 3 episodes, 1 hour each. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, it is really not enough. It's almost like they just kind of made a bunch of like mini movies, or like did like a sort of mini series as a means to wrap everything up. That is a shame. But yeah, because that one I think is, you know, whether, you know, whatever Disney's views and why they decided to do that, like it's culturally or like critically pretty acclaimed, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the storytelling and the characters, and it's very good. Very wholesome and wonderful. When Shadow was like a little puppy, that's when I first started watching the show, and he kind of reminded me of King. I was kind of like, oh, if Shadow could talk, I think he would be like a little sassy pants like King was. I'm not sure if I feel that way now, but at the time I was like, it's like a little Shadow. All right. Getting some color on here. I think that's what we're gonna have, you know, the means of procurement of content. I think if Liam and I want to watch The Last of Us, we have to go through those means as well. But I think my father-in-law, I think I talked about it, my father-in-law does have them. We just have to bring a flash drive over to him and procure the goods. Wear my head on today so it would fully dry, and I'm like sweating. No. Oh, that's so uncomfortable. You're like, there is a reason why I'm getting her all chopped off today. Because how long is it right now, Kat? Is it like shoulder length, or is it even longer than that? But I remember you saying that you had like thick hair, so that would definitely prove to be frustrating to have to wear it down. Yeah, past my shoulders. Yeah, that's enough, especially if it's really thick. That's probably really heavy as well. Oh my god, good morning, Meg. Howdy, howdy. How are you doing? I was thinking about you today because before I started stream, I was just that little bit too warm in my jumper, but I took my sweater, I took my hoodie off, and I was like, but now I'm a bit chilly. And I was like, you know how I can fix this? By putting on a plaid flannel like Meg suggested. And turns out it is the right temperature distribution currently. So I was like, yeah, because I remembered, I was like, yes, we did have this discussion, and I think this will solve the problem, and sure enough, it did. So that's nice. But yes, how are you? I hope you're having a happy Friday. I hope things are going good. We're not currently on the... Yeah, honestly, that's how I feel a little bit. I almost feel like I feel a little bit more Canadian every time I put a flannel on. And it's like this weird thing where I even told Liam sometimes, I'm like, you know, I find you more attractive the more you look like a lumberjack. I think that's just like the Northern Ontario Canadian in me. That's like, I don't need you to dress up like, you know, in a suit and look like a fancy suave businessman. I'm like, I want you to look like you know, chop trees for a living and like traipse around in the bush and stuff. Oh, panicked a bit about the vastness of life and responsibilities. Yep, existential crises every once in a while. Yep, but now I have chill and have coffee. That's good. I'm glad you're chill and have coffee. But yeah, every once in a while you just gotta, you know, fill yourself with a little bit of existential dread and panic about life and your trajectory and the vastness of the world and stuff. I get it. I'm not sure if that has anything to do. Again, I don't know. I am one of those like astrology bitches, but not super deep divey. But I do know apparently it's the first day of Mercury retrograde, and the very small thing I know about it is that apparently, if you find yourself with excess tech issues, so they always mention around Mercury retrograde to make sure you back stuff up and do things like that. But you know, I'm sure existential dread and crises are also probably part of it. Let me actually look. I don't actually know. Let me check. I'm like, what does Mercury, like, how does Mercury retrograde affect me? Okay. I don't know. What is this? This is meant to be folk music, and it seems like little hoity-toity tea party music. Oh, I had a guy who told me he couldn't date me because Mercury was in retrograde, but in reality I just went, oh no! Really? That's somebody who doesn't deserve to know anything about astrology. What a dickhead. If I sit still and think about how small we are in the universe. Yeah, that's true. What a bizarre thing. I don't think I've ever I've never heard, usually, I don't think I actually know a man who is actively into astrology. It makes me crack up every now and then. People, yeah. You're like, yeah, because isn't it about, like, something about, like, communication and stuff? I don't know. Let's see. Stylecaster, this seems legitimate. How Mercury retrograde will affect each zodiac sign. Oh, if you're feeling tired and disoriented like you're not yourself, there's a good chance you can blame it on Mercury retrograde. Blame it on the Mercury retrograde. Blame it on the Mercury retrograde. When the planet of communication and cognitive functioning is spinning backwards from our perspective here on Earth, it has a way of making your brain work twice as hard in order to function. Although everyone will feel its classic symptoms, you will need to look at how Mercury retrograde will affect each zodiac sign, because it will always paint a deeper picture of what this means. Interesting. Lasts around 3 weeks. It has a way of dredging up unresolved drama from your past, especially if a conversation has been left on red for too long. As Mercury begins its backward tailspin across the zodiac, it brings attention to situations that remain unsettled, providing you a platform to gain closure and leave the past behind you. Interesting. So it's related to, like, communication in all forms. You know what I mean? My husband would have broken up with me instantly if I put any amount of faith in astrology. Really? Was he like, absolutely not? Immediately no. I find it interesting. And I definitely am one of those people that, like, follow astrology meme accounts. And then when they talk about, like, your big three, like your sun, your moon, and your rising. And I'm like, oh my God, that's, like, so me. But I understand that it's, like, you know, it's like with anything, right? You kind of read into it and take with it what you will. You know what I mean? But I also think, too, right? If people find it helpful, in a way that doesn't hurt anyone, like that freaking asshole that Meg was dating, I guess. You know, if you're using it to sort of inform your life, because everyone's just finding, you know what I mean? It's kind of like if you believe in manifesting, if you believe in whatever, and it's not hurting anyone around you, but it's making you feel like more sure of yourself and your place in the world, like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Enjoy it. Don't yuck someone's yum. So this is a general statement. I can see them with this. Yeah. And I also think, too, the more I realized as well, like, and again, I am one of those people who enjoys these things. But of course, too, right, then when you get into, like, your whole birth chart, there are people, like, I think there are certain signs that I just don't have in my birth chart at all. But then when that happens, then you're like, oh, if you got super deep into it, right? It's like, oh, you know, this sign isn't one of my big three, but it's in my chart here. And so certain things in there could also apply to me. But then it gets really, like, complicated. I think I tried to get really into it, and I still might, just because I find it interesting. Like, the different houses as well, and how, like, certain houses that certain signs are in then could inform, like, because you have, you know, a Leo in this house that's related to, I don't know, money and finances. It kind of informs how you deal with money or whatever, like those sorts of things. And yeah, I just find that interesting. But again, like you said, depends how much of it is coincidental, you know? I said, yeah. I think astrology has some interesting coincidences. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like one of those things that you think it's fun, but it's like you're not living your life by it. Like, I'm not sitting there being like, I can't make a decision today. I can't make a decision for the next 3 weeks because Mercury is in retrograde. You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's some people that do. I'm sure there's some people that are like, I'm not making any major decisions until after this happens. And I think that can happen, like, that can work with some things, but if other things, if your job has a deadline and it's in the middle of Mercury retrograde, I don't think you can tell your boss, like, I'm sorry, I can't complete this assignment because Mercury is in retrograde, you know? Like, I'm a Cancer, I know the most random friend, but I don't often show it, so it wouldn't make sense if something, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny too, right? Because that's what I'm a Cancer rising, because I always never felt like I identified with a lot of the traits of, because I'm an Aries, and they're always like, oh, you're super competitive and all these things like that, but then I'm like, oh, not really. But my mom, definitely, for her. And then I was reading more, because again too, right, like, if you want to get super nitty gritty into it, usually you have your sign, but then it's kind of like if your sign happens, for instance, like Aries people will be born either in March or in April. And then March vibes are different than April. Like March Aries vibes apparently are different than April Aries vibes. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Aries is moving with Julian. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I give off Julian vibes. Though we do, you know, unintentionally, we both now are Greyhound stans. Because I know he rescues Greyhounds. And Shadow is like over 70% Greyhound, so... Is that a coincidence? I don't think that has anything to do with our signs, though. But yeah. I'm so fucked off now about that guy, though. I'm like, Meg, obviously, I'm like, I hate that man who used astrology as a way to not commit. I'm Libra. Yeah. They're so cute together, too. Absolutely. Yeah, Liam's a Libra, too. And one of the, like, I don't know, I guess the major stereotypes is that they're basically Switzerland, so they need to see both sides of everything, and they have to, like, weigh the pros and cons of stuff, and they never, like, fully commit one way or the other because they can see the benefits or the deficits in both sides. And, like, not, I guess, you know, not so intensely to be almost, like, devil's advocate-y, but, like, potentially, like, I'm sure it could cross over into that. And Liam does that all the time. Especially, too, when I'm, like, in a mood where I just want to, like, rage about something, and I'm like, this is so annoying and pisses me off. And he's like, yeah, but, well, this situation. And I'm like, I know, but I am not in a mood to be rational about my emotional reaction to this right now. It's okay. Yeah. Absolutely, right? It's like things don't work out so that better things can fall together. Isn't that the saying? That's awesome. I'm glad you're with your favorite person. But yeah, no, it is very interesting. Because the other thing too is like, then you look at your, I don't know, like your big three, so your moon sign. Because there's also things as well that apparently, like, your sun sign is meant to sort of be, like, your core being. So, like, I don't know, like, your core sense of self. But then your moon sign, I think, is meant to be more, like, I guess, like, your shadow self, or the self that you, like, only sort of let close people into and stuff like that, or the side of you that's a bit more guarded and, like, you don't really show until people get to know you more. And then I think your rising sign is sort of, like, your outward persona to the world and, like, how you present yourself to the world. But a lot, unless you know the time you were born, you don't necessarily know what your rising sign is, because that's the part that's determined by, like, somebody can have the same sun and moon sign, but if they're born at different parts of the day, then they can have a different rising sign, and that would differentiate them within their chart, apparently. Yeah. I love how this is, like, I was thinking folk as in, like, I don't know, like Mumford and Sons and whatever those other folk update, but this is like polka style, which is fine. I'm not mad about it. If we're doing like old folky folk, that's okay. This is like accordion. I secretly love polka. Yeah, my mom requested a polka for, like, to dance to at our reception. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely giving, like, Oktoberfest morning beers. Definitely. But it was funny, so I told the DJ, like, oh yeah, my mom wants a polka, like, not thinking about it. And then he messaged back being like, oh, is there a specific polka that she has in mind? I think I talked about this the other day. And so I did let them know, because she was like, oh, not, so I asked her, I was like, oh, is there a polka you have in mind? And she's like, not particularly. I just want a song to be polka-able. But then she was like, oh, but you could do, like, one of the Weird Al polka medleys. So I found 2 of them. So I was like, oh, there's this random, like, old school polka. But also you could play Polka Face by Weird Al Yankovic, or the Angry White Man polka by Weird Al Yankovic. Both are solid options. So hopefully that's what he decides to do. Because those are jams. Those are bops. But yeah, you also need, like, the city you were born in. Yes, we are already married, but we never had a reception. So basically what had happened was we got, like, secret married, kind of. We told our parents and they were there, but we didn't tell any of our friends. And then we got, like, secret married with just, like, our parents. And then, like, with the intention that we would then have, like, a reception afterwards. And then COVID happened. And then obviously, like, it was trying to figure out, like, when, like, my family and stuff could be together. And so it just never happened. And then we weren't even thinking about it. And then I was talking to my friend about how my mom, my dad, and my brother and his girlfriend are all going to be able to come and visit us this year. And they're actually going to come around the same time. And that's going to be really cool because, like, my brother and his girlfriend might be moving. So we don't know when this will ever happen again. And then she was like, so you going to have your reception? And I was like, well, shit, that didn't even cross my brain. So then I told Liam about it. And then I was like, oh, Mom, my friend suggested maybe we do this. And she's like, cool, I'm down. And then my aunt was going to come and visit in November, but I was like, oh, does Auntie want to bump her trip up and also come in May? And my mom's like, yep, cool. So yeah, now we're having a reception 4 years later. So now all of the, like, printouts and stuff and invitations and stuff like that is like, oh, you were invited to our very, very, very delayed celebration. But yeah, that's what happens. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's much nicer that, like, I don't know, at least for me, it seemed like it was a lot less of a hassle, because we have 2 friends right now that are also getting married this year, and it seems like a lot, and they're also doing, like, destination weddings as well, and so you're also coordinating with places and people that you can't, like, pop down and actually see them. So yeah, the other thing that's really great about this too is that we can avoid the, like, wedding upcharge of everything, at least for the most part, because we've been telling all the venues and all the hires that this is an anniversary party and not a wedding reception. Because as soon as you say the word wedding, venues and companies are like, they up the price like 3-4-fold because it's like a wedding and there's like almost like a wedding tax. So we were like, no, it's an anniversary party. But yeah, hopefully. I think it'll be fun. Hopefully it's not, like, too crazy stressful, but I think it'll be good. Almost everything is, like, confirmed and set in stone now. There's just a few things left I have to do. Yeah, you'll go with him. Yes, take that wedding industry. Yeah, exactly, right? Oh, you can't find a free website? I think, I knew of one before, but I have an app. Let me see. I think there was one. Free astrology chart. Yeah, I think if you go to this one, it's called cafeastrology.com. And then they'll give you your natal chart. And I think that's free. Yeah. Let me find. Let me send the link. Let me send the link. Ooh. Yeah, I think this is the one that I've seen people use in the past. So maybe try that one. But yeah, we're trying to subvert. The only downside to us not going the traditional, like, wedding route of it all, and I think maybe this is where, so we're having a cake, right? And the cake venue that I went with, because they could make gluten-free cake, they're like a specifically gluten-free bakery, and they do celebration cakes or they do wedding cakes. And we just went with like a custom celebration cake. But the thing is, if you do a wedding cake, then you get to go there and, like, do little tastings and samples of all the combinations. Whereas for us, we just had to pick the flavor we wanted. And so that's the only thing that I feel like we've missed out on in terms of, like, the wedding experience of it all, is that I want to go to taste testings. I just want an excuse to, like, sample food, you know what I mean? Instead, we have to, like, make the confirmed food decisions, which is fine. But yeah, that's the only downside I've found so far of not engaging in the wedding industrial complex. Hopefully. Okay. Just doing like the preliminary stabbing of this, and then we'll have to add more as we go. Oh, oh, about the food sampling. That's what it was. Yeah, food sampling, because when you decide to like do wedding food packages, they give you the option to like taste test stuff, whereas if you're not doing the wedding cake versions of things, you just have to pick the flavors you want. So that's the only thing I'm missing out on. And I say free samples, but obviously you're paying to be able to have the option to sample. But for the purpose of the conversation, yeah, I'm missing out on free food. Free food tastings for the wedding. Because we've already married, but that's fine. I'm sure the options will be great. To be fair, I'm like thinking back. I'm like, what flavors did I get for the cake? Because it's a couple tiers, and you could have like a different tier, a different color. Okay, so sun is Cancer, moon is Capricorn. I sound very angsty. The Capricorn explains your like, well, again, if we're reading into the stereotypes, it explains your detail-oriented nature. Because I know my friend's a Capricorn, and she's little Miss Planny Plan. So that gives me, yeah, emotional, organizational powerhouse. My teenage you says yes, angsty. I don't know if you saw, I'm trying to think, because sometimes they sometimes call a rising sign something different. Let me just double check, because I don't know if that website, rising sign, also known as, it can also be called your ascendant sign. So your rising sign and your ascendant are the same thing. I love plans. I know you love plans, and you're so good at them too. Yeah, when we got married, we booked a municipal art space. Ooh, that's really cool. We had the whole start dinner time, but we didn't spend much on the food. Yeah, definitely. That's really cool though. That's a nice way to do it. A municipal art space. Just like schnackies. Because that's the other thing too. It depends like what the plan is, what the vibe is, right? To be fair, like, you know, we like ours, it's gonna be a buffet, but it's gonna be like pizza and burgers. So I'm like, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty hard to mess up pizza and burgers. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know. Maybe you're angsty cat, but also could you just be that you're determined and know what you want and are not, you know, willing to sacrifice going after it. Right? I'm like, are you angsty or are you a badass? You know? Because I have a feeling that, like, you know, once someone's pissed you off, I wouldn't want to be that person. Way less pressure. Yeah, definitely. was also the other nice thing too, like when we got married, because it was just like 6 people there, and we got married in like the municipal center, or like town hall or whatever, or I guess it was like a registrar's office essentially. And so they were like, you know, you don't have any entrance music, you can't have any custom vows, like they know this, know that. So we just like walked in, did the thing, that was it. You know, no muss, no fuss, no pomp and circumstance, like get her done. I'm very black and white with things, and all. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I hold a grudge forever. I love that. Yep. No, that's awesome. Yeah, the houses, like the 12th and 6th house, the houses I'm not as familiar with. I'm I'm aware of them, and I know like certain houses rule over like different parts of your personality or whatever. But then there's also like the different planets rule over certain things, so I'm not quite sure where the like juxtaposition is of like, well, your house rules over something and then your planet rules over something, and if those are like counterintuitive or not the same thing, I'm not quite sure what all of that means. There was a kid in kindergarten who dumped all my crayons on the floor. I still hate him. Honestly, the audacity of that child. I'm sure wherever he is now, he's probably a selfish lover, you know? I'm sure of it. I like isolation and animals, apparently. Oh, really? Is that what that site says? I have to do mine on that site. I've done, like, again, the things, but it's always interesting to, like, read the definition. Yeah, exactly. I did mine, and I sound like a peaceful woodland creature. That's so fun. Libra Sun, so there's a peace-loving hippie in the middle ground, and Virgo. Yeah, Virgos. That's awesome. There's another one, too. I think if anyone gets, like, the ones that I've seen, it seems like if you have Aquarius in any of your top 3, like, it seems like the Aquarii, the Aquariuses, are, like, the very, very free spirits, like, very kind of eclectic sign of the zodiac, allegedly. It did say that. I need, like, to live in a cabin in the woods with animals. I need a room to myself, to my things, my trinkets. Oh, that's so fun. I love that. Now your mom's an Aquarius? That's cool. I don't know if I personally know. Maybe I do. Now I'm curious about this. Oh, honestly, like Bog Witch style, yes. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. I just want to, like, hang out in the forest with my mushrooms and my dog. Just, like, with cool plants and, like, moss and lichen and junk. Okay, let me see. Oh, I'm sure I've asked my mom this. Let me double check. Let me get it accurate. I'm pretty sure I was born. I remember, because my mom said both me and my brother were born on Saturdays. Because she knew that the joke is my dad wouldn't take time off work for our birth. Let me see. Born. Yeah, there we go. Random question in 2017. What time was I born? 12:24 p.m. Here we go. 12:24. That's so funny. Okay. Let me do this down here. Okay, let me see. Birth, place, city name only. I was born at 7 a.m. My mom went to labor the night before. after she ate a hot dog at the mall. That's amazing. Yeah. Yes. Truly. That's one of the things that's so funny because we talk about that with my mother-in-law as well, that we said if we could like just own a chunk of property that, you know, how people like buy land and they put like little homesteads all over the place. And so it's like if we had like our family and then everyone had their own little homestead, and then you had like the communal area that then where like the gardens were and like where the food would be made and all that kind of stuff. And it would just be, because there's this woman, I don't know what it is. I think this is woman, she lives in China and she has a YouTube channel where it's just her like tending to her garden and like making really beautiful meals and like looking after her grandma and doing all these different things, which is really cute. Okay. Oh, happy Friday, Megan! How you doing? Yeah. Oh, this one doesn't have your ascendant. That's interesting. Oh well. Why would it ask for your birth time then? Oh, here it is. It's in the Placidus section. The 1 ASC, that's the ascendant sign. That's what that means. How you doing? Hard to find a homestead info without being entrenched in fundamentalism. Yeah, we're not trying to start a cult. We're trying to start like a friendly eco community, but I could also see how that could then venture into cult territory. You know what I mean? So there's a fine line. It's like, we're not trying to push our fundamental ideologies onto you. We just want to have a peaceful little fun forest community. You know what I mean? Like there, you know, there's like a fine balance. Sleeping bean this morning. Aw, that's amazing. I am doing well, thank you. Project's going not too bad. We're getting distracted by astrology right now. But yeah, oh, aspects. Yeah, where's the stuff where it all talked about where we were gonna hang out and live in a forest and shit? There's no summary. I need to read through the whole thing. That's funny. I love it. Whoa. Didn't say we wouldn't be in a cult. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. A coven. I could be down with the coven. I could do coven. Definitely. Yeah, I gotta read this shit later. I'm intrigued. I've not dove. I've not explored my astro chart in a hot minute. So it's always interesting. Like, I know the things. I can tell you what I am, but I don't know what they mean. So I'm interested. I'm interested in reading more about myself. Were you always like, because I've always been one of those people who like really loved taking personality, still do, loves taking a personality quiz, even when it was like dumb stuff like in a J14 magazine of like, you know, which hair color is really you or something like that, or like if you were a book or a movie, what movie would you be or something, who's your celebrity crush. I loved a good flow chart, you know. But yeah, love a good personality test. Love those, like, what is it? There's the Engram one. There's the Myers-Briggs one. So many fun ones. I did those on LiveJournal all the time. Yeah, I love a good... I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those things. And I don't know if this is just, like, a thing that, like, neurodivergent and, like, mentally anxious people seem to do. Where it's like, you know... because you're either unsure of yourself or very like anxious about the world or all those different things, it's sort of like, if I know myself inside and out, that gives me a sense of control or understanding of the world and my place in the world, where I'm like, okay, the outside world is scary and unknown, but I know myself inside and out because I take a bajillion quizzes a day to figure it out. Which is a very surface level, you know, analysis of oneself. But it like puts you on a trajectory, you know? And sometimes, you know, you can help teach you new things about yourself, I find. Or things you might not have considered, right? And then just to bring things into your sort of perception. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that is me. Or you go, no, that is not me at all. You know? I find it interesting. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I wonder if there are, I guess, you know, there's probably are people out there who don't like taking personality quizzes, or they like don't see the, like, you know, with anything, like they don't see the purpose or the reason, even if the reason is just like for funsies, you know what I mean? But I almost wonder if, like, low-key the people who like shit on personality quizzes and think that they're dumb and stupid are maybe the ones who need to do a little bit of introspection and learn a little bit more about themselves, you know? I'm like, why are you so defensive? Are you afraid of what you're gonna learn? Maybe. There is a flip side to that, though, because I do find, because I've talked about it with my mother-in-law and, like, other, I guess, I'll say, like, and this is, like, a broad generalization and, like, not a huge thing. Oh, my God, Avenjan, Averajan, thank you so much for the follow. I just noticed that. Welcome in, welcome in. Hope you're having a great Friday. Happy Friday. That I've talked about it, like, with other quote-unquote mentally ill people, or that sort of, even, I don't know how I feel about the term. I know some people don't enjoy it, but I'm like, people with mental variations, I don't know. But I've talked about that with people who are similar to me, where it's like, it sometimes can be frustrating because you logically know so much about yourself. You love when people call you an Avenger. I love that. See, that's good, because see, when people mispronounce your name, they call you Avenger, whereas when people mispronounce my name, they call me Trash. But it also makes me laugh, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But happy Friday. But yeah, so sometimes what'll happen is it'll get really frustrating, because you're like, I'm so aware of, like, and this is why I think where it's like, you know, that's why mental illness or like anxiety or depression and things like that, it's not logical, right? Like those things are not logical, but because you like, you know, sometimes it'll get frustrating where I'll be like, I know myself so well. I've taken all these personality quizzes. I've done all this deep introspection. I know what some of my triggers are, like all these different things. I like, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, but I'm still feeling really anxious right now. And like, I can know everything about anxiety, about my anxiety, about how my anxiety manifests itself, you know, the sort of trajectory and cycle of like my depression dips and things like that, but it doesn't necessarily stop those things from happening. And that's really annoying. Because it's almost like, you know, knowledge is power, but knowledge doesn't prevent, you know, those sorts of things. Obviously, you can, like, I mean, you know, I don't mean it like in general, because I think the more you know about yourself and your triggers, the more you can help manage those things. But sometimes you just wake up and your brain is like, no, we're going to be depressed today. We're not going to tell you why, and you're just going to have to go through it. And you're like, ah, shit, okay. Even though we know everything and we've done everything and managed ourselves and whatever, sometimes you just wake up in a mood and you have to, like, be kind to yourself and stuff. But that would happen with me. I think, like, I'm a bit gentler with myself now. Because I used to get really frustrated, which then would make the negative emotions worse. You know, when you're like, I'm feeling really anxious, or I'm feeling really sad today for no reason. And then I would beat myself up about feeling sad or anxious for no reason. And then that would cycle and make it worse. So now, at least not every day, you know, I'm not completely, I don't know, like, living my best neurodiverse life or whatever. But when I notice these things, I'm like, you're allowed to have a sad day. You're allowed to have a less productive day. It's fine. It's not like this is, you know, if this happens over the course of a week or even like a month, I'm like, okay, maybe something is wrong and we need to call a therapist or adjust medication or whatever. But if it's like a day, instead of me beating myself up about it, I'm trying to be a little bit gentler. But when I was not being very gentle with myself, that would be my reaction. But I understand myself so much. Why am I still feeling this way? But these things are not logical. Well, just supposed to live this life anyway. Yeah, exactly. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Can we shout this from the rooftop, please? It's like we're all just living life. So we should be able to afford our bodies and our brains the grace to do it, you know? Give our bodies and our brains what they need to thrive. The unfortunate part is society's not always made up in order to do that, right? Because we live in a capitalist society and your whole reason for being in the eyes of capitalism is to produce. And so if you're not able to produce and be productive and contribute to society, then screw you. And it's like, nah, people cannot contribute and still be awesome and worthy of time, life, and resources. Since we'll never live in a utopian society. Yeah, exactly. Canadian in the UK. Why move? Fell in love with a Brit. I met a British boy, and the British boy had much more, I don't know, I guess he was much more secure in his, or much more settled in his place in the world. And I had just finished school, and I was like, fuck it, I'll move to the UK, why not? And, 6 years later. Yeah. I always hoped I'd fall in love with a British boy, but never found one. Yeah, I don't know what my expectation of, love in life was, but it just happened to be. But yeah, you grow up, I don't know if because I remember my friend, I don't know if anybody had, a preference, but I remember my friend being a real Prince Harry stan. And some people were, Prince William stans and stuff like that, but I feel like half of it was, yes, everyone always wanted to, be a princess. That was, the thing. Really, yeah, to be fair, I've heard a lot of people like that. Usually when people find out that I'm Canadian and find out that I moved to the UK, they're like, why would you leave Canada? It's amazing. Oh my God, it's so pretty there. And I'm like, I grew up in a mining town that's a literal crater. To be fair, though, I have much more appreciation for where I grew up, because when I moved here, I didn't realize how much I missed having access to, green space. And, the fact that I grew up in a town that had over, 300 lakes and how you could, swim in them and it wasn't, all, contaminated and stuff. And that there were, forests behind my house and things like that. Luckily, there's a lot of, curated green space in the UK and, where we live, especially now that I've gotten my dog Shadow. I've, found the places where that's the thing. But in terms of, access to, I want to say, culture, going to the cinema or, the other thing, too, this sounds it's so bad now, but, even access to, good takeaway, at least where I grew up, even now, too, living, because now, this is not just a UK, I think this is just, living adjacent to a big city, that when we go on holiday to, smaller kind of towns and stuff, and you can't use Just Eat to order takeaway, and you have to either call the restaurant, and then also the other thing too, right, is because I have celiac disease and I have to order gluten-free stuff, sometimes little towns, in the southeast or whatever, don't cater to that. And so that's the thing, that's a new anxiety. So every once in a while my anxiety manifests itself in weird ways, and I found out that one of my new anxiety triggers is not being able to access food. If everyone's ordering takeaway and me not being able to know what I am and are not allowed to eat, that's very stressful. But yeah, but usually too, when people think about the UK or think about Canada and they see Canada depicted on on TV and stuff like that, it's usually either big city, so you're either getting Toronto or you're getting probably Vancouver, or you're getting Vancouver because you're getting access to the skiing and the mountains and stuff like that, right? So that's a thing. But yeah, it's beautiful, honestly. And especially, like, I always tell people, because my family's originally from Alberta. And so when I moved, my brother moved away, they moved back to Alberta to take care of my grandparents. And whenever we go out there, it's like, I don't know, it's like a few hour drives or whatever. We always go to Banff, which is Banff National Park, which is in Alberta, and that's where all the Rocky Mountains and stuff are. And if you want to go to Canada to access, like, the nature, that's probably, like, the best, in my opinion, because you get access to the, like, there's forest, there's mountains, there's water. Yeah, dream location. It's truly incredible. You have a Banff wall hanging? Oh, no, wait, that's so cool. Yeah. I got a good old Southern boy who doesn't follow. Yeah, to be fair, I feel like, what you managed to find, Kat, probably is a dime a dozen as well. To find a good old Southern boy with, not backwards Southern ideologies. But it helps that you got a big old nerd, right? It helps. I feel like when the big old nerds, big old progressive nerds seem to be the best ones, Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing, though, is obviously, like, Banff is incredible and the national park and everything is great. But I do find, I joke that, like, Alberta is kind of like the southern states of Canada. And so you gotta, at least in Banff, I feel like Banff it's like a very kind of more progressive part of there, but I think if you go to Calgary, like, Calgary's really nice, but you'll definitely potentially come into contact with some, people probably like my extended family who are, cowboys with less than stellar ideologies. Of legitimate. Oh, really? Yeah, I remember finding a tattoo artist that I was obsessed with, and it turns out they were in Australia, and I was like, damn. But yeah, that would be cool. I've seen, like, tattoo, like, I don't know, like, there's tattoo expos and things like that. I don't know if there's ones, like, if the Canadian artists, I'm sure if they're, like, close by, I'm sure the Canadian artists would travel to those things. But that would be a cool, like, travel reason, you know what I mean? Like, to do, like, a tattoo tour of Canada. You want to go to Vermont? That's another place that has, like, really good skiing, doesn't it? The other place that's actually, I feel like, I don't know, like, the other thing that's really cool, which I've not been, it's on my to-do list, and I'm hoping that my brother, because my brother and his girlfriend might be moving out to the east coast of Canada, so she can apply to the vet schools out there. But I low-key, like, selfishly kind of hope that they do. And so then I have a reason to go, because my brother has been to the East Coast, my parents have been to the East Coast, but I've not been to the East Coast. I've been as far as the Ontario-Quebec border. And if you like seafood and potatoes, Nova Scotia is apparently a stellar place, and I am obsessed with both of those things. So I would really like to go. Tattoo and hike trip, that would be really cool. Definitely. Luckily, my tattooer is my brother-in-law. That's awesome. Yeah, you know. I'm pretty sure Nova Scotia is really big, because I think a lot of the... Oh, I'm gonna mess up the name, but I think it was a lot of, like, immigration into that area. Oh, I can't remember what they're called. But I want to say Maritimers. But it's not. It's a name that starts with an A. Let me try to Google it. It's gonna bug me now. Nova Scotia Heritage. maybe? Heritage. What are they called? Oh, Arcadians. I think that's what they're called. I think it's what it is. Arcadians. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm correct. Excellent. Oh, yeah. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Quebec. Also, apparently, Louisiana in the United States and Maine in the U.S. as well, and PEI. Not Arcadians, Acadians. The Acadians are an ethnic group descended from the French who settled in New France colony of Acadia during the 17th and 18th century. Yes, so this was when the French, this is like old school, so like when the French and the English all came to colonize Canada, and there was like a division between like different parts of Canada. So one part was colonized by the French and the other part was colonized by the English, and then eventually I think the English took over everything. But we still have 2 official languages, so there's actually, so everything in, I thought Acadians was just the Scorpio kid. Yeah, I guess this is, yeah, I don't know. That could be a different kind of Acadian. This is A-C-A-D. I don't know. But maybe. But yes, they are a French descendant ethnic group. Apparently. I just associate, I think I remember like learning about something, and there was something related. Oh, it might have been PEI, like PEI potatoes. So like Acadians and potatoes, that was like a thing. But I'm not sure if I'm just, yeah. So potatoes and seafood. That's what the East Coast is all about, allegedly, apparently. And so I would like to go. I'm descended from the first official. Oh. Yeah. So is that English? So I'm trying to think how. I'm sure it was the same, because I'm sure it was the French and the English, and then there was a whole group that then. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's always so interesting to me, because obviously, like, where, like, where the, yeah, the Mayflower, Governor, wow. You're like, wasn't it in Gravity Falls, Pacifica Northwest? I think that's, her family are descendants from, like, the first people that came over on... Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Did you guys watch Gravity Falls? That show's incredible. But yeah, I think that was her whole family shtick, and then I think it was like a whole thing that they got like deplatformed because they actually weren't part of the first family, or they were, but they were part of like a different sector and weren't like the founding family or something like that. I don't know. It was a whole thing. But yeah, it's always so interesting. I remember asking Liam about this because obviously where like the history of colonized Canada comes into play, obviously a lot of it has to do with like Britain coming over and colonizing. So I was like, you know, do you guys learn about that? Do you learn about your colonization stuff? And I guess because like they're too busy learning about all of the various kings and things like that, that by the time a bunch of the English actually left, they were like, no, we don't got time to learn about that. There's still all of this other old shit happening over here. So, because I was like, ha, technically, you're wowie wow. Wowie wow. We should get you a little crown. You should get a little crown and wear it into work and be like, listen, peasants. Listen. You ask me to do your job? I don't think so. Yeah, you like Gravity Falls, it's been far too long. Yeah. To be fair, it's been a couple of years, but I did do a rewatch. I think what had happened, you know what it was? I think it was when we got Disney Plus, and we were all, Liam and I were all caught up on Bob's Burgers, and we were like, shit, what are we gonna watch now when we eat dinner? And then we watched Gravity Falls. And then we finished Gravity Falls, and we were like, shit, now what do we watch? And then I think by that point, more Bob's Burgers episodes came out, so it was fine. He does, yep. And see, I know Jason Ritter from Joan of Arcadia. Really? He liked my comment on TikTok. That's so cool. Yeah, truly. I think there might even be more episodes. Like, because I think it's actually really fun because there was a few episodes actually. So I don't know if you've seen the movie, but there's like a plot point around the movie that there's a plot point around the movie that involves a sinkhole that happens in the front of the store. And now in the intro song on the Bob's Burgers episodes post the film, because, you know, obviously the whole intro to the song is how all this bad shit happens and they have to keep reopening the restaurant every time. They actually include a little snippet about the sinkhole in the entrance scene now, which is really clever. So it's like they made it canonical, which I really appreciate. It's not just like this random one-off thing that has nothing to do with like continuity. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't realize too that Jason Ritter is married to, I don't know how, Melanie Likinsky? How do you pronounce her last name? But you guys know who I'm talking about. Badass bitch. Melanie Linsky. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize she was from New Zealand. Interesting. But yeah, I didn't realize that they were married. Yeah. Linsky. So I saw this thing that they were married, and I also think it's kind of cool because obviously Gravity Falls was incredible. Jason Ritter was the voice of Dipper. And then another amazing sort of similar animation style cult classic epic show, Over the Garden Wall, she was the voice of Beatrice. So I just think that that's really cool, that obviously their collective personalities or whoever their booking agents are booked them on critically acclaimed cartoons. And then they happen to be together. I remember the first time I watched Over the Garden Wall, it was like really, really overhyped to me. And the first time I watched it, it didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. This seems a bit overrated. And then I rewatched it like a year later and I was like, no, I'm actually obsessed with this. It's like the one time that I've like rewatched something after not being like 100% certain of it and being like, no, actually, this is 1,000,000% my cup of tea. Absolutely. You've never seen it? It stars Elijah Wood as one of the main voice characters. So he plays Wirt, and he goes on little adventures with his brother Greg. And it's so zany and obnoxious, but also like grounded, and it's like the perfect thing to watch around like autumn. It's very like autumn Halloween vibes. Again, why, for whatever reason, I wasn't obsessed with it upon first watch, I will never know. But now, absolutely. But yeah, so Melanie Linsky, she plays one of the characters. Elijah Wood is also in it. There's a bunch of big names that are only in like a single episode and have like random bit parts. It's a pretty stacked cast for a miniseries. And actually, the guy who, I'm pretty sure the creator of it, is the same guy who voices King and Hootie in the Owl House. His name is Alex something. Alex Hirsch. Yeah, Alex Hirsch. Oh no, he's the creator of Gravity Falls. My bad. So Alex Hirsch is the creator of Gravity Falls. And then he does voices in the Owl House. I'm mixing up my animation peeps. So yes, Alice Hirsch, creator of Gravity Falls, voice. So who was the creator of Over the Garden Wall? Patrick McHale. That's who it is. Patrick McHale, who then also helped, I think he did the storyboarding or something like that for the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio, which is wild. Oh, and he was also a voice on Gravity Falls, and he was the director of the first 2 seasons of Adventure Time. It's all making sense. They're all, the animation world I feel like is very small. Yeah, he was a writer on the newest Pinocchio. I feel like the animation world is similar to like the British actor world. It's very small and everyone knows each other and everyone's like supported and help each other out on different bits and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. It's like it seems to be a very supportive community of people. So Pinocchio always scared me, even animated. Yeah, the Disney animated one is very scary. And to be fair, this new Guillermo del Toro one is also pretty scary as well. It also takes place in like fascist Italy as well, so there's like an era that's like a Guillermo del Toro trope though, is he always like seems to have like like a fascist dictator or like something like that they have to sort of combat. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he is a horror director. Yeah, the voice actors as well too. Yeah, who's the one? Tara Strong, who's like voiced all your favorite people. Tara Strong, voice acting royalty. The Critical Role piece Dumas. Yeah. They also, wasn't there, they did an animated series based off on one of their D&D campaigns, right? Because Liam and I watched, actually it was really funny. So Liam ended up watching the 2nd season before the 1st season. And then we watched the 1st season together and he was like, now everything makes sense. Yes, that's the one, Vox Machina. It is really good. Again, I've not watched the 2nd season. I wonder if he'll watch it with me. Or I can watch it over the weekend, because he's already seen it. But yeah, it was really good. I always think it would be really fun to do, I assume so, because he, like, had to envision that character, so. I always thought that, like, doing voiceover work would be really cool. Or even, even something like reading audiobooks. Like, I think to be, like, an audiobook recorder, I think that would be super chill. Because there are some people, like, there's some audiobooks I've listened to, and the person who's voicing them is absolutely garbage. You don't know the voice for it? You don't know, maybe you do. There would be voiceover work. So there's like audiobook, or there's animated cartoons, and then also adjacent to animated cartoons is also anime dubbing. That would be interesting, because I feel like animation, like dubbing, is different than probably traditional animation work, because you're recording something that's already been made, whereas I feel like in traditional animation, you would record the script and they would sort of animate around that. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Is it no longer because once you got your tonsils out, you no longer sound like a jazz lounge singer 24/7? Yeah. That's so interesting. I guess that makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm sure that, like, that is a thing. I don't have, because there was a kid that I went to elementary school with, and he got his tonsils out when we were in senior kindergarten. But I don't remember enough about his pre-tonsil operation voice to know if his voice changed before and after. It also could have changed too, just because like he was a dude, and then, or like it could have changed, probably it changed twice, because it probably changed when he got his tonsils taken out, and then it changed again when he hit puberty. So I'm not sure. I don't know what pre... To be fair, he was a very quiet kid, so I feel like I don't even remember what his regular voice, like, just what his voice in general sounded like, regardless of what the iteration was. Alright, after this, oh, these little guys. I'm trying to see if there's any others. So we've done those flowers, Oh, I think we have these lines to do as well. Okay. So we're not, I was like, oh, we're almost done this color. Not yet. I brought this downstairs. To be fair, I brought all of the wool downstairs, but I figured there's no point in me unearthing them all. If we do get to the one, we'll probably only get to the next one. So I'm like, there's no point in getting them all out. If anything, I wonder, well, yeah, I think so. I'm like, will we finish them all? I think so. I think we can finish this color and move on to the next one before the end of stream. I feel confident in that respect. Oh, I'm all out of, I was just thinking about how there's like another producer's market. Oh, I'll probably mix the color. Ooh. Yeah. You will. Yeah. That's okay though. Yeah, chop. Are you getting excited? You're like, thank goodness, please. Remove this thick coiffed of hair from my head. Gonna be so nice. You're gonna feel so much lighter. You're gonna like float out of your sister's house. I am. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, truly. I keep thinking about like if I should be booking a hair appointment or something leading up to this reception, because like when Liam and I got married, I had like an ombre that was like a kind of bluish purple. So I'm like, oh, my hair's not gonna be blue this time, which isn't like a huge thing, but I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something. Should I get a haircut on are my ends dead? Does that matter? I don't think it will. I don't know if I care that much. My hair is not, I don't know. I'm not like, Because I'll go through phases where I just like look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, this is boring, which sounds really bad. But usually what ends up happening is I usually end up cutting or dyeing my hair and I'm like, much better, just to like switch it up. But I've not felt that way. So until I do, I don't really see a need, I guess. Because isn't there that thing where they say like in order to keep your hair healthy, you should like get it cut ever so often or whatever? But I feel like I just adopt the like, you know, if my hair starts looking like lifeless and boring and I get annoyed with it, then that's when I bother to get it cut. Whereas I think it's different, like if you, because like I'm used to having long hair, so if my hair is long or gets a little bit longer or shorter, it's not a huge deal. Hi Kay, good morning, how are you? I think it's different, like for instance with Liam, like he can physically know like when he needs to have a haircut, because obviously he has short hair, and then when his hair grows it like gets in his ears and like tickles his ears and stuff like that, and so that's when he's like, I need to sort this out. Whereas I'm like, my hair can keep growing, it's fine. Your hair is a determined length. Really? I didn't know that. I'm sure it'll get, yeah, I wonder if I was like, if I grew it out, how long it would get. To be fair, it probably wouldn't get like so long because I'd probably get annoyed first. But that's interesting. I didn't realize that. Like there could just be a point where your hair is like, no, we don't grow past this point. I did not know that. My mom needs a haircut point. Yeah, that's true. It would just be like scraggly at the end. Yeah, that's fair. Oh no, my oh, that's so funny. Your sister's gonna be like, listen. And you're like, it's fine. You're chopping it all off anyway. Don't worry about it. I guess to make sure that the cut is like not super wonky though, you probably have to like brush it to a certain point. But yeah, definitely, because that's the same thing too that happens with my brother and sister-in-law, because my nephew has really, really curly hair, but both of them have really long hair, and I think my nephew does really want to have long hair like his mom and dad. But my sister-in-law tells him, like, you don't let us brush it or dry it or anything like that. And so until you're able to either manage it yourself or let us manage it, we have to keep it shorter because it's like a big, you know what I mean? Like it'll just get really matted and not good. So, all I know is my hair is coming in straight now. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I remember you said the second time, like when it was starting to grow in, it was getting a little bit wavy. I wonder if it's just because of the like the sheer weight of it, and if it was like cut a bit shorter, and then it would sort of like revitalize the kind of curl. I wash my hand in the shower because oh, interesting. That's cool. You know, I brush mine every day, just because I find it gets real tangly. But I feel like certain hairstyles and certain things, like you don't need to. Yeah, you wet brush. That's really cool. Oh, you live at your mom's. That's so annoying. Oh, yeah. That's true too. Yeah, we did talk about that. Where like apparently, yeah, hormones can change your hair stuff. Yeah, I wonder if Liam like grew his hair out, what sort of hair texture he would have. Cause I think most of his, like, cause his mom has sort of like a curly, like a bit of a curl to her hair. And his brother, like a couple of them, they have long hair. And I think I think that the one with the longest hair, his hair is pretty straight, but I don't know if it's like super, super poker straight. I think it probably could have a bit of curl in it if he like did all the styles and stuff. But like, you know, I'm sure he's similar to me where it's like, ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, friend's kid went to visit grandparents. They didn't remind them to brush their hair. Oh no. Oh, that's terrible. That's a real shame. Is it just one of those, like, because they were really little and that was something that they didn't do and the grandparents didn't think to remind them? Or is it like, were they a bit older, but they were like, forgetful or didn't think about it? That sucks. Because I wonder, like, I know you possibly could with mats, because, like, with Shadow, every once in a while he'll get, like, little mats, and you can kind of, like, sort of pull them out and tease them out over time, but, like, if your whole head is matted, it's, like, right, yeah. Yeah, because you can, but it's also, too, like, it, not being funny, but it's, like, if you don't have the patience or you have, like, maybe sensory issues and don't enjoy your hair being brushed. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, like, if you have sensory issues about having your hair touched and brushed and remembering that stuff in general, I'm sure you have little to no patience for sitting there and, like, slowly teasing all the mats out. You know what I mean? So it just makes more sense to have to, unfortunately, yeah. That's kind of annoying that that the grandparents didn't remind them, you know what I mean? And it's whether or not, yeah, I guess if they were older enough or whatever, like, or it's something they didn't realize that they sort of instinctively did to then pass on that message. Hopefully the child wasn't too broken up about it. Because, like, that's a big change. And I'm sure, like, again, taking in, depending on, like, the severity or the different types of neurodiversion and how it manifests itself, if that change could have been, like, really jarring for them. Oh, my God. Is that why I hated that? Maybe. I still have nightmares about my grandmother brushing my hair. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have some, like, some scalp trauma. And you're like, no, I can't do it now because of that. Hey, my friend. Yeah, I would assume so. That would be really... Oh, interesting. Because I know some people really like when they, like, get their hair played with and stuff like that. I remember... me and my brother had, like, a babysitter, like, a neighbor that used to babysit us. And, we used to, like, you know, when you're, like, a little kid, it would be like, oh, like, let's have a hairdo party. And I would, like, bring my hairdo bag with all my, like, little clips and bows and stuff. And I'd brush her hair and, like, put little things in it and stuff like that. And she always let me, and she quite enjoyed it. But I could see some people, like you said, if they really don't like having their hair touched. Yeah, probably. If you don't like it short, then no one, like, tries to run their fingers through it because there's nothing to run through, you know? All right. Okay. Any more? We have this guy to do. And then I think that's everything for this color. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. Last one. Last one. Yeah. Unless it looks fuzzy. Right. Yeah. If it's like a fluffy sort of fuzzy kind of. Yeah, I think if you had like real tight ringlet curls like my nephew does, people might be inclined to touch it even when it is long. Or even when it is short, sorry. Yeah, with a buzz cut. Yeah, to be fair, that is a thing. Like, you know when people get a buzz cut and then they grow that, like, certain little bit of hair and it's almost like a chia pet, the way it feels? Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, it's like anything to do with your body. You should get consent from the person before you touch them in any capacity. Whether it's of a sexual nature or whether it's just to touch their hair, you know? Like any, like, just getting in and up, just getting in people's personal space, like, ask. And that just seems so, like, I don't know, duh, but, like, obviously people still don't get it. Yeah, I rub my own head. Yeah, that's awesome. It probably feels really cool. I remember it was so jarring to me, because last time I went back home, like back to Canada, and I met up with a friend of mine, and for like the majority of my friendship with him, he's had a shaved head. And like, I've always known him with like a shaved head. And then we met up for lunch or dinner or something like that. And he had like a decent, not like a full amount of hair, but he had hair. And I was like, I was like, what? And it was even kind of curly too. And I was like, first of all, one, you have hair. Like, obviously he did not have hair, but I was like, I'm seeing hair on your head, which is weird, like, which is a weird thing for me. And your hair is also kind of curly, which I never would have expected. So it was a little bit jarring. I was very confused. I was like, this isn't my friend. My friend has a shaved head. Yeah. Well, even people like trying to get past you and they like touch your shoulder or they touch your back or whatever. And like, I get, like, I don't know. I feel like there's probably like, if you're in a crowded bar and you need to get past someone, I feel like probably like their shoulder or their arm is like the least invasive place you could tap them. And even too, it's like don't fully place, like don't cup their shoulder, just like poke them to be like, yo, excuse me, don't keep your hand there, because that is the thing that people like, they touch the small of their back, and I'm like, don't, no, you know what I mean? I'm like, especially like dudes, I'm like, do you touch the small of dudes' backs? Then do not touch the small of lady backs, you know? Don't do that. Don't be weird. But yeah, sometimes it's just kind of like a tap on the shoulder, like, excuse me. That's enough. But do not, you know, a 2 second tap. Don't hold it there for an extended period of time. You're just doing it to get someone's attention so that they can use their bodily autonomy to move out of your way, right? Ew. No. Is he still there? Or did you tell him the fuck off and now he's still there but he knows not to mess with you? That is unacceptable. Did anybody ever watch Adventure Time and there's that Lemonhead guy who would just like screech, unacceptable? That's what you should have done right in his face. That's what I feel like, you know, it's not like I go out very often, but I feel like, and also I'm not a confrontational person, but if I had the confidence to accept, you know, weird stares at myself, if I was ever like grazed by the back or the shoulder when somebody would pass by me at like a bar or something, I would just go, unacceptable, and just like yell that to them and make everyone feel really awkward. But then I would feel really cringe about it and feel really embarrassed, and so I wouldn't. But if I didn't feel those things myself, I think it would be great. No, he was forced into retirement. I reported him. Oh, good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Dude, that's the thing. I never felt like I could tell people. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, right? And that's one of the things around like consent and stuff, where there was that whole thing where it's like, you know, you should be able to say no. And it's like, no, you're not accounting for the fact that sometimes when you say no, even worse shit happens. You know what I mean? And so that's always that kind of fine balance, where then that's why they changed the sort of consent slogan to like yes means yes versus no means no, because a lot of instances people are not able to say no. You know what I mean? Yeah, that would be, absolutely. You're like, I would love to tell you to screw off, but I don't know if I could, you know? He yelled and cussed at me a few times, and one time he thought ew, what? That's so vulgar that he would even insinuate that. Yeah. Oh my god, it was her, oh wow. So he was working for his daughter, and you had to be like, by the way, your dad's a creep. That's an awkward conversation to have with someone. By the way, your dad is a very inappropriate human being. That's an awkward conversation. How'd that go? Yeah, oh, it's a family. Yeah, he's the ex-husband of the owner. She hates him. Yeah. Fair enough. At least she knows he's a terrible human being, so it wasn't like she was gonna not take your word for it. But yeah, it's good that you felt that you were able to say something. And I don't know if that's just like you know, being ballsy and not giving a shit, right? But either way, that's really awesome that you did that. Okay, this folky's bordering on country. My give a shit started falling out. Yeah. That's good. You're like, listen here, buckos. I guess it sounds really shitty, and I'm sure, like, you know, you could correct me with if I'm wrong, but I think maybe it's easier to be able to speak your mind and stand up for yourself when you don't, like, respect the people that you're needing to stand up for yourself to. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't respect you as a person, and so I can be like, listen, stop being ridiculous, you know? I don't know. Yeah. You're like, not to put words in your mouth, but I'm just like, maybe if I'm like, I don't like you as a person. I don't think you're a very good person. And therefore, I don't really feel bad when I tell you when you're being a shitty person. But yeah, I still feel like, I don't know, like, it's one of those where, again, still don't trust my confrontational skills. So I could see, like, you know, negative shit going down, and then me thinking of really epic comebacks and like, oh, if I had the confidence and, you know, wasn't a scarce small little human being, I would say this and it would be so awesome and badass. It's like me yelling unacceptable in the middle of a bar. But I don't know. I'm like, yeah. Did you always think about that? Where, like, and to be fair, that's happened. There's, like, and I don't know if this is just, like, an anxiety thing or just, like, a whatever, like, where I've definitely thought about interactions I've had with people years later and being like, I could have said this to them and it would have been awesome, you know? Like, if you had an epic comeback, but I'm thinking of, like, oh, the epic comebacks I would have had with an interaction that, like, happened in, like, university or in, like, the 12th grade or something. And I'm like, well, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure 31-year-old Tash has much better comebacks than 15-year-old Tasha does. What really sucks is this brilliant. Yeah, exactly. That's true. That is true. That's another barrier to that as well, Kay. You're like, I could say this thing, but that would maybe get me physically assaulted. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, you're like, I would not like to cause unnecessary bodily harm to myself by getting the last word in, so I'm gonna just not say anything. Right. He's online. Cool. I just remind myself of the people who said those things to me. They probably don't. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I always wonder about that. Because the other thing, too, that's really random, I don't know if this, like, when you, like, live in a small town and people that you would, like, not think about, you then see in the grocery store, and then you're like, damn, oh, okay. Interesting. But yeah, I always wonder about that. It's like, maybe I'm, like, low-key a little bit narcissistic. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I wonder if, like, these people still think about me. And it's like, why? Who cares? That shouldn't matter. You just pretend you don't see them? That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, to be fair, that shit was awkward when I was, like, in university seeing people that I went to high school / secondary school with. I can't even imagine being a full-grown adult running into, like, someone I went to elementary school with at the grocery store. No thank you. It's like 2 of my closest friends still live in our hometown, and they even live in, like, our neighborhood. They bought houses in the neighborhood that we grew up in. And I'm just like, damn, how, why? Are you okay? That must be an interesting situation to be in. Unless you were in my friend group. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, you had a, wow. Yeah, you have, no. Yeah, that makes sense. If you have a classroom, that's nuts. You had a graduating class of over 300 people? How big was your high school? That's wild. Pretty big, got bigger. Really? Wow. I think the next class was about 500 people. That's wild. Yeah, I don't know how many people were in my graduating class. Definitely not that many, though. About 70. Yeah, that's so small. I can't imagine it. Really? I think 70 is massive. Let me see. I have a yearbook photo here, but this is not. isn't the year I graduated. But yeah, grade 9. How many people were in this class? A lot of them didn't even end up graduating, but let me just see. This is the 9. Okay, maybe it is quite large. Let me count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 50, 2, 4, 6, 8, 60. Oh shit, maybe it was about, oh, okay, damn, okay. 6, 8. A lot of these people did not graduate though. Let's go to the graduating class. It wasn't my graduating class, but maybe. Let's see. This is cringy. Okay, shit. Maybe there were like 100 people. Grade 12. Wow, maybe my high school was bigger than I thought it was. I don't even want to think of how big. Yeah, my school's one of the few in Alabama with a solid education program. Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. Huh. Wow. That's wild. Yeah, so maybe there was like 100 people in the graduating class. That seems bananas to me, but okay, that's not gonna get back in there. We'll just leave that there. Ah, I forgot to show you guys. So the coolest thing, I don't know if you can see it up here. It's very small, so I'll have to bring it down. But I got a belated birthday present. Look at this! It's a 3D printed logo of my Twitch handle. Isn't it so cool? I want to find a place to like stick it on my stream wall, but in a way that you can see it. And I feel like right now my head will obstruct it, but it's just so cool. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be sitting up here today so I can put it on the shelf, but I think it's too small for you guys to see from that bookshelf up there. But now you know it's there. There it is. Now you know. Yeah. I'll have to clock out now. Yeah, no problem. Enjoy your haircut, Kat, and have an amazing weekend. And I will see you next week, where I'm sure you're going to feel lighter and lighter and flyer. I don't know. Just disregard. Have an amazing evening. We're playing the 6th fastest growing district in the U.S. Wow. That's wild. I guess when that's a thing, like, that's not accounting for, because don't they, like, change the district lines around a lot for, like, election gerrymandering and stuff like that? Or was it cherry picking? I don't know if it's cherry picking or gerrymandering. I think it's cherry picking. I'm not entirely sure. But where they do the thing where they change the lines of the district so that certain people are able to get reelected and stuff. Is that accounting for that as well? Like, did they grow the district lines, or is it just people coming into the district and kids being born in the area? Okay, that's voting district, which is different than, like, housing district. Okay. Different kinds. Different district divisions for different things. Possibly. Yeah? School. Okay. School districts and counties are different. Interesting. So that's just demographic information. So is that, I guess that's like kids being born or people moving into the area, or is it both, or do you not know? I mean, yeah, still. Hey man, if it's top 5, that's still nuts. You know what I mean? Top 5 is, or top 10, sorry, is still, because there's a lot of counties in the U.S. It's a big place. So for it to be top 10, that's pretty wild. People are moving in. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I guess was there a lot of sort of like unused land and they're popping them up? Or is it that they're like, you know, almost building vertically? Like, let's make our apartment complexes even taller. Yeah, I wonder what the largest growing council is in the UK. Mostly the first. Yeah. Let me see. Largest. Population growth. UK district. Okay. Fastest growing cities. Which areas of the UK saw the highest growth in population? Okay, 20, that's demographic information. I don't know what year this article is from. It doesn't say. But the first thing that pops up in Google is apparently Lancaster and Bath had the largest levels of growth, both with rises over 2% year on year. Coventry and Canterbury also saw significant increases. Interesting. So not where I am. Though Canterbury's nearby. Makes me sad that all the countryside. Yeah. To be fair, that was happening even where I grew up. We lived in like sort of like a pop-up suburb area, but there was chunks of forest. And every once in a while, there's this thing now called the Trans-Canada Trail, which is a trail that allegedly, I don't know if it's completely finished, but it was this whole big thing that apparently if you wanted to walk across Canada, you could do it via this trail system. And part of the trail system was behind the neighborhood I grew up in. But there was sort of like this chunk, the highway is here. This is like all forest, and then there was the subdivision. And they basically then created another subdivision in this chunk of the forest. So then the whole area of like woodlands went from this big to this big. But they can't obviously develop past this point because this is now part of a trail. So that's nice that they were able to preserve that. But it was still a thing. I remember my friends and we refused to walk down that street that they had newly developed because that's where we used to play in the forest and build forts and stuff. My friend was like, we had a fort back there and they obviously demolished it when then they built all of these houses and stuff. So it was like our mini childhood protest of like, we refuse to walk down that street. Okay, I think, are we ready to move on to the next one? I think we can add a little bit more. But yeah, now thinking about it too, there was like a time in my childhood where driving up a certain road to the right of it, you would then turn left and then you would go to the mall and stuff. But the right side of this road was all just like a forest, all just shrubs or like woodland or whatever. And I remember when I was growing up, they clear cut this entire thing and then they built up. But now that's where like the Costco is, the Cineplex is, the Chapters, like all of these things that are almost now like staples in a Staples is also there. But that it's almost now like so part and parcel to the town that it's so weird that within my lifetime, a bunch of those things just weren't there. It was completely undeveloped land. And now they're like staples in the community that people use all the time. I need to do these. Can't decide what to do first. Oh no, that's so annoying. You're like, my executive functioning refuses to take over. That can be so annoying. And then there's that fine balance, because it's like, do you do the thing that's going to take the longest first, but then you're getting like really sort of like the morale then drops because you're like, this is taking forever and I still have a huge list of things to do? Or do you tackle a bunch of the things that are going to take less time, but then when you reach the end of your list, the only thing left is the thing that's going to take the longest, and then again, morale drops. It could be that you do a couple little things, get a few wins under your belt, then do the thing that's going to take the longest and be the most time consuming and tedious, and then end with some like really easy, simple things. So you gotta sandwich. It's the sandwich method. Sandwich the bullshit in between some less bullshit things, if that makes sense. You know? Oh man, when I was little, there was... Oh, really? Yeah. There was a row of houses in my neighborhood that somebody, like, that people had told me, the adults in the area said that that used to actually be like a corner store. And then they had converted them into little houses. Okay, just sort of adding a little bit more definition to these areas. I'm sure we'll have to go over there. I'd walk there and buy cookies or candy. Now it's a calf. Ah, at least it's still like a consumable spot. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. Oh, it still is for sure. When you're like, oh, when I used to walk down this street, this was like my routine and this is what that would do or be. That's like my friend was talking to me the other day. The elementary school that we went to in our neighborhood, it had closed down because it was too small for like the number of kids coming to the area. And so they ended up closing that down and building like almost like a super school, like a super primary school for all of the kids in the area instead of having a bunch of little schools. But that it just sat like abandoned and needed of development for years and years, but I guess they finally actually developed the area and knocked down the school and actually like put houses and stuff on the property. And so my friend said it's so weird, like the fields we used to play on at recess are now paved and have houses on them, and it's really jarring to like look at. I feel like it's like, I don't know, it's different. It's kind of I feel like it's different than like, for instance, like here sort of, you know, when you go to around London and you walk down a high street, like obviously there's like a high turnover rate of like stores. So you'll see like one chicken shop close down and then another chicken shop will come up, or it'll be like, oh, it was a chicken shop and now it's like a kebab place, or, you know, first it was, there's so many barbers and hairdressers that pop up all along the high streets around here. But that almost seems like, it's almost like a very cyclical thing here, it seems. And maybe it wasn't. Like, maybe Liam has childhood memories of, like, certain sort of staple places that then got, like, completely remodeled. But it seems different to me when it goes from, like, okay, this is a forest, and now it's a Costco. You know what I mean? That's, like, a little bit more jarring for, like, your mental brain to be like, wait, this used to be a forest, and now it's a Costco. Versus, like, oh, this was, like, my favorite, you know, I don't know, like corner store and now it's a different corner store, or this was this restaurant that I went to and now it's a McDonald's or whatever. Those sorts of things are still strange and still a bit odd, but it's like less jarring than like there literally was not a building here when I was a child and now there's multiple buildings. All right, is this all of number 4? It looks that way. So now we're moving on to 5. It also looks like there's little centers in here that they want to be a 5. Okay. So I think now we're doing like stems and stuff. So we have this here, and then all of the stems, it looks like. Okay. Well, not all of the stems, but like a bunch of the stems. And then like little dots of accent stuff. Okay. Cool. Let's unearth the next round of felting. Ooh. I feel like this folk channel's taken us on a little bit of a musical journey. We had some like polka style folk, and then we had some like proper country stuff, and then this is just like more singer-songwritery folk. It's been quite the variation in musical themes. Okay. I also think too that I'm gonna be filling in little dots in the center of this as well, but it's not indicated on the pattern, but it looks that way on the photo. So we'll see, but I think the first thing we're doing. This is our first time like combining the different. I guess we did a little bit here, but this, I don't know, this feels like higher stakes for some reason. I don't know why. Too bad. We've got this, guys. It's all good. Yeah, it's as, I don't know, I think it's like as if I've not sort of sorted out the threads of the other color, then layering and mixing that is looking a little bit, not like muddled, but I think it's like lacking a bit more of the definition here. Am I just talking nonsense? Perhaps. Just want this to look a little bit more like a stem and less like a combination of blue and brown. Oh, I think this happened last time. See, now we're getting like Chinese, like opera folktale. We're getting international folk, which I quite enjoy actually. I think that's a really cool thing that they're doing. We're not just getting like traditional southern country folk adjacent stuff. Oh my god, I missed. Oh no! I missed a section of pink. It's not good. It's not good. We need to fix that. Whoops. It's okay, guys. It's fine. I did it on purpose. Like, how did I miss that? Rude. It's fine. It's all good. Where's Shop? I don't know. I think he actually might be upstairs. Usually he's on the sofa, and usually we do Cozy Couch Fridays, but I didn't think I could sit on the floor for 3 hours today. I just was not feeling it, so I thought we'd come back over here. Because the other thing, too, is it's also a lot, because it's staying lighter out longer, I'm less concerned about eventually crafting in the dark over the course of now it's, like, staying out lighter longer, so it's easier to craft here and not needing to try to, like, create a bunch of artificial light sources. We can just kind of use the natural light, which is nice. Okay, there we go. Now we're done with this one. Okay. So this, I think I'm gonna make this a little bit thicker. And by thicker, I just mean add more floof. Okay, I think, yeah, whenever all is said and done, when we kind of take a look at the finished product, or maybe even before that, we'll see if there's like, oh, we should add more of the blue or more of the brown in these sort of sections here. But we will cross that bridge when we get there. I don't really get the point of these little accenty bits. These tiny little... Oh, maybe he is over there. Yeah, he's dreaming. I can hear it. Shadows in dreamland. Okay. Yeah, they're just like little brown accent ticks. Whatever. Can't even really see them. See, they're like right here. So there's these little cluster of 3, but then this one's gonna have little, like a little. That's the only way I can describe it. A little poof of brown wool. Too much. Perhaps. Okay. Sure. Good enough. Now to move furniture somehow. Oh, wow! What do you have to move? What is the furniture that needs moving? Oh, is this for your house? Is this the room that you're planning on painting? Is that what this is for? Because remember how you were debating whether or not you were going to paint this room or if you were just going to like put furniture in front of it and like not worry about it. Is that what you're doing stuff for right now? That would make sense. I believe in you. You can do it. You must harness the power of 1,000 suns. Call upon, I don't know, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, depending on your comic book allegiance. Any deities, if that's not your thing. Allow them to give you their strength and superhuman badassery to allow you to achieve your goals. All right. Ooh. It's fine. It's okay. In the immortal words of Ashley Tisdale, it's all right. It's okay. Let's get this in here. I still think this is very strange, but it is fine. I think next what we'll do is we'll do these little infill guys because I think that will be much more enjoyable than tiny little stems. This one seems a little bit too sunken in, so let's add a little bit more. I think because it was so small, it almost seemed like I had to bury a lot more of the fibers, which is not really what I was trying to achieve, but here we go. That's a little bit better. There we go. Ooh, little accent pieces. Who's online now? Cool. All right, next step. These guys, that's what I was doing. That's what we were doing. don't know why, but this doesn't look like, I don't know, I'm like, this doesn't look like a very nice brown in my brain. But it's fine. I don't know why I'm looking, I think maybe it looks like a little bit gray and ashy, like there's no dimension to it. Like I have any knowledge of color theory at all. I'm like, this is a bit of a muted color. It doesn't pop the way like the other ones do. Like, I don't know. But it just feels like, I don't know, I feel like certain colors, like certain shades, like browns, can either look like really mousy and boring and bleh, or they can be like really rich and really vibrant and amazing. To be fair, I guess more colors, like I think all colors have the capacity to do that, but it just seems like certain colors, the like risk of mousy, boring blehness is much higher. And it seems like that's the case with browns. I think sometimes it's the case with greens as well, depending on the shade of green. But same with grays, because like certain grays can look really vibrant and wonderful, and then other grays can look kind of like gloomy and blah. But all these other colors are seeming all right. And then I don't know if it's just within the context of these other colors that this one's, because on its own it looks okay. But it just seems to me like as I'm adding it to the fold, I'm like, I don't know. I think you're a little bit of a mousy brown. I'm not as much of a fan. It's color like color theory discrimination? I don't know. It's wool color discrimination. I didn't realize I have all of these like really rogue yellow fibers around here that I'm a bit concerned about getting caught in this. But hopefully it will not be a problem. How are we doing for time? Oh, we got like a half hour left together. Very nice. I think we can put a big dent in this color. I have faith in us. Don't know if we'll finish because we have to do all these like little stems and stuff. So this will probably be the color that we end up staying with for the next half hour, but maybe optimistically we can move on to color number 6. Which I think is a green, so that'll be nice. Finally get to color in the foliage. Listen here. There we go. Okay. Sometimes there's like the tiniest little rogue fiber and I don't know, and it's like a single fiber and I don't know how to like wrap it around the needle and like set it in a way that clips it down. I've not mastered that skill of capturing the one fiber to make it go into the thing properly. Cute. Oh, I can feel my wrist like seizing up. Uh-oh. Repetitive stab injury. It's all good. So nice that the sun decided to come out and clear up. You know, it's just in the morning, just when Shadow and I were going outside, that the weather was like, we gonna rain. But it's been pretty clear the rest of the day. Hopefully that is an indication that we'll have a nice clear weekend. Oh yeah, you know how I was talking about how I picked up local honey from the producers market, like the farmers market, because I heard that was going to help with like antihistamine stuff and like seasonal allergies. Again, I don't know if it's just a placebo effect. I feel like it probably, like I feel like it has been helping, but I'm all out. But there's a producers market on Sunday, so maybe I'll go and get more honey this weekend. Because we need all the help we can get during this spring allergy season. Especially because like everything is blooming now, which is beautiful. But it just means that it's a bit of a seasonal hay fever war zone for my sinuses. So any help we can get to alleviate the burden on my sinuses, I would like to take it. And also honey is tasty, you know? Okay, we got two more little balls. And then we gotta make the stem. And I guess we'll continue. To be fair, not all of these are gonna be a brown stem. So we might actually, I don't know, I'm being optimistic. So basically we have this one left to do. And then we have the little lines on this. Basically, all of these guys have a brown stem. All of these tulips have a brown stem, but everyone else is going to have a green stem of varying shades of green. Interesting. Oh, there's these little guys, too. Oh, this is popping out a little bit. Last thing we want is for the felting tool to fall out of its holder. That would be sub-ideal. All right, one more little ball. Oh, that doesn't even look like enough wool. Watch this now be too much wool. It's fine. Yeah, that's too much now. Damn it. There we go, that's better. All right, there we go. Cute. concentration. Just trying to make sure that like the actual stem, like the little balls on here don't kind of get like lost with this stem. Don't want it to be too thick. Oh, this is interesting. So it looks like this is also, yeah, there it is. I just don't want to lose this because there's this heart, like this bud here has a stem that starts here and then goes in behind this thing and all of the fibers. I just want to make sure we don't accidentally lose that so I don't forget that that's what needs to happen. Again, getting blue fibers where we don't want them. Here we go. Okay, I think we'll add a tiny bit more. Just maybe start from the bottom. Listen here, fibers, get in formation. Okay, just want the brown fibers, we don't want the yellow fibers. There we go. Looks like a yellow one, but it's fine. I have to go in with like some little scissors and just cut all of the little scraggly bits if I'm not able to get them via the felting. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's still some rogue threads there that I'm not happy with, but again, like I said, we can probably snip them off when we're all done. Cool. Let's keep going. We'll do this guy next. We'll sort of go from right to left. I appreciate that, Meg. Thank you very much. We are getting down to business. We are getting her done. We are stabbing things and taking names. It's really funny because I was literally just thinking about how it would be interesting, maybe, to rank Disney movies, like Disney animated movies, but I was like, obviously all of the like ones with the Disney princesses are classics. So then I was like, oh, maybe it would be harder to rank all of the non-Disney princess animated canon, because then that would be a bit easier as well. Because obviously we know that like most of the Disney princess ones are like S tier anyway. You watched Mulan yesterday? Yeah. It's truly one of the best. I think so. Yeah, I think so. She's up there. I think her, like, I think Princess Jasmine's my favorite Disney princess, but I think Mulan is, like, definitely top 3. Probably. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's so good. There's so many, like, just iconic characters. The grandma's iconic. The matchmaker's iconic. Obviously, Mushu's iconic. Oh, I think we need to do a little bit of stretching, friends. My brother had a Sean Lee. Yeah, isn't it Sean Lee? Shang Li. We were looking this up the other day. He had a Shang Li action figure, which was very cool. I think he even was Shang Li for Halloween one year. Like, my mom made... Yeah, I feel like he did. Because obviously around the same time, my mom was really... Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that movie hit so deep. Yeah, definitely. You're like, there's so much representation. But yeah, because I think around when that movie came out, or when we got really into it, that's also when, like, we were also super into Jackie Chan Adventures, the TV series. And I think my brother took Kung Fu for a little bit, but then he stopped. He wasn't into it. But, like, the idea of being, like, a badass Kung Fu / ninja / like, you know, hand-to-hand combat master. I feel like that was really influential for my brother for a minute. Ugh. That's so amazing. Oh yeah, all these little poofy things. I don't know, have you ever seen the sequel, Mulan 2, like the direct-to-DVD sequel? It's actually not bad. One of my brother-in-laws showed it to me because he said that him and his friend used to watch it all the time. And it was actually pretty cute. Like, I feel like of all of the direct-to-DVD sequels, it's actually one of the better ones. I think the other thing too that was really cool about it is it kind of showed, like, because at the end of the movie, like, they don't get married, but it's sort of like implied that they're together. And I think the second one is like they're gearing up to eventually get married, but they have this like job they have to do, and they're sort of realizing, like, wait, maybe we're not compatible. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the thing. Oh, the first movie is obviously far superior. But in the grand scheme of direct-to-DVD Disney or direct-to-video Disney sequels, it's definitely, yeah, not bad at all. And, like, the 3 friends she meets at base camp, I can't remember what all their names are. The 3 dudes, though, they're just, like, such a good group of people, and the fact that that film sort of centers around them a little bit more is kind of cool. I guess they're sort of like the comedic relief. City is cool. Yeah, exactly. Oh, probably. I still haven't seen Frozen 2. I feel like I probably would enjoy it, but I've just not gotten around. I feel like when it was like getting hyped out there and stuff, I was like, okay, because when the first one came out, I was like super into it. But then I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm good. But probably. It's still on my to watch list. Like, it's still something I do want to watch. I don't know why, I've just never gotten around to it. Yeah, you never really got it. Yeah. Like, I enjoyed it, but it definitely wasn't as incredible. But that could just be, you know, like us from like growing up in the sort of golden ages of Disney, like the Disney golden age. We're sort of like everything is sort of compared to that. And I think the reason why people really liked Frozen is I think it was a little bit of a return to form, but a bit more of like a modern take. So it got praised for that. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, it's up there, but it's not the golden age, you know? Though I do love me some Idina Menzel. But I know her as Maureen from Rent. So that's more my and I love Kristen Bell too, actually. But yeah. I'm like, Idina Menzel is Maureen from Rent for me always. I think it would be interesting to know like how people view, because I feel like Idina Menzel is either Elsa for people, she's either Maureen for people, or she's either, I don't remember what the name of her character was, but she was in that Enchanted film with Patrick Dempsey and Amy Adams, and she played the girlfriend of Patrick Dempsey, who then ends up with the prince at the end. So that's another one as well. So I think people like recognize her. Those are like one of the three sort of iconic roles that people would associate with her. And then obviously John Travolta messing up her name at some award show and calling her Adele Dazeem. Again, we're pushing this thing down a bit too much. Now this is too small. There we go. Kind of. Here we go. Sorta, kinda, maybe. Just like the tiniest little line, and it's like you think you have the tiniest strand of floof, and then you like shrink it down and you're like, no, there's actually a lot here. Balls, I think that was too much. It's fine. Just gotta really stab her in there, and then it doesn't matter. But now that one looks really chunky next to the other one. Do we add more to that one? I think we might have to. Just to balance it out. This may be a fruitless endeavor though. That's better? Question mark? Yes. Little bit better. Okay. Sorta, kinda, maybe. We don't hate it. Okay. Wowie wow. So we've got a few more minutes left. So we'll do a little bit more. We'll do another stem, but if anybody has any raid suggestions, let me know. If not, we'll go and see which of our friends is online. I'm sure there's quite a few of them. Let me actually pull it up now. Wow. Because it takes a million years to load. My PC doesn't seem to like when I pull up like the back end of Twitch and then the front end of Twitch at the same time. It like takes a million years to sort itself out, so. It's still loading. It's still figuring its shit out. There we go. Okay. Do a little bit more stabby stabs. Home stretch. I really should like have a snack, but there's like 5 minutes left and I'll be fine. But I can tell my brain is like, We're turning, and see the sun is still out, but Tasha's brain is still going into dial-up mode by 6 o'clock. That's just how my brain works. Okay. Ah. A little bit more floofy floofs into here. Maybe. Sorta, kinda. Add a little bit more. Okay, that's too little of a more. Okay, there we go. I think, maybe. There we go. Do, 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 do. Okay, I guess we're gonna continue working on this next week. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're making good progress. I feel like things are trucking along. I don't feel confident enough to give an estimated timeline of like how many more streams we will do this for. That I am not sure about, but I think it's going well enough. Let's pop this away. Still annoyed that the needle is longer than the holder, but it's fine. Let's pop that in there. So, a little bit more progress has been made. Not too bad. But yeah, I think next week we'll work more on this. We might game, I don't know, I feel like because we're in craft kit mode, we're just like trucking through craft kit, and then eventually we'll come back to strange horticulture, if I remember. You know, it's, yeah, we'll see. I think we should go see Art in Jest, because last time we saw them, they just have the most chaotically wholesome and wonderful community. And she's making fan art today. So maybe we'll go and check that out and see what's going on. And then... Oh, sorry. No, I'm like... Ugh. You can tell I'm like... Ooh. I think she's making like video game fan art. Because she looks like she's drawing Little Misfortune, which is really cute. I have that game. I've not played it yet. But I want to. Let's go and see Art in Jest. And then, yeah, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Friday and, you know, stabbing away, talking about astrology. I hope Mercury Retrograde doesn't screw you guys over too much. Make sure to back up your electronics. I don't know what else. I'm going to read my little thingy, my little breakdown of... Oh, I think I deleted it. Whoops. Oh, no, I still have it. Okay, I'm going to go read about whether or not I'm going to join you guys all in your little forest mushroom cult. Probably, because I already feel like I'm halfway there. So, let's go and see our friends. See you later, guys.